Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to enjoy a very interesting story called A Cup of Tea for Parents. I hope the story will bring you some relaxing moments. Don't forget to like, leave a comment and subscribe to support the channel. Now, let's explore the main content of this story. The scene at Mr. Binns and Mrs. Lone's house in the early morning was really hot. The sun was just rising, but the atmosphere in the house was as bustling as a small market. The laughter and the sounds of dishes, the smoke rising everywhere, made the space full of life and joy. That scene was like a lively picture of a happy family preparing for a big day. Mr. Bin, with a warm but worried voice, kept encouraging everyone, "Get ready to cut the beef and cook the rice noodles in the morning. After eating, you still have the strength to help my husband." It is true that selling brothers and sisters far away, there is nothing more precious than having you here. Without saying a word, Mrs. Lone, a woman, came in with a half-emotional voice, half sad. "Please try to help my husband take care of my niece. The first time I held a wedding, I really had no experience. Next time, I will try to be more thoughtful. I don't dare to bother you like this." Around, the neighbors of each person, the vegetable picker, the butcher, the dishwasher, but when I heard Mrs. Lone say that, a man stopped and laughed and said, "Oh, who doesn't have a job? Or do you live in the neighborhood? Any house holding a wedding is the common joy of the whole village. What is special about your house? Isn't that right, uncles?" A series of cheerful laughter. The atmosphere is more lively but also extremely warm. The village neighborhood love is like glue. Everyone understands that helping each other at times like this is not only a responsibility, but also a joy, is the sharing of love in everyday life. Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone, the husband and wife of a farmer, are lucky to have two daughters, both gentle and beautiful. The eldest daughter, named Van, is 20 years old this year, and is preparing to enter the marriage. The second daughter, named The, is 2 years younger than her sister, just 18 years old, and still has the innocence of a teenage girl who just graduated from high school. Although still young, both girls are beautiful, brave, which makes the couple proud every time they mention it. Time flies quickly. Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone, although they are not over 40 years old, but the children have grown up, old enough to worry about marriage. Remembering the old days, the couple also set up a family very early, so now stop and look back. A lifetime has passed. The couple feel lucky to have children to look up to and worry about for the future. The breakfast is in a hurry, but the warmth of the whole family and the neighbors is gradually ending. Prepare for a long day ahead. Everyone just makes and laughs happily. The atmosphere in Mr. Bin's house is full of laughter, enthusiasm, warmth, and even the excitement of the big day. A wedding in a rural village is not just a private matter of a family, but also the joy of the whole village. The neighborhood and neighbors are concerned. The love of the neighborhood is shown here in a deep, sincere way. Helping each other is not only a responsibility, but also a joy, a pride. A month ago, Van announced to the family that he had a lover. The two of them worked together and missed a meal in front of the scene, so now they have to think about getting married right away. At first glance, it may sound like that, but the two of them also feel normal because of a smart son. It is essential for an adult to have a husband. The fact that the daughter-in-law has a premarital pregnancy is a new trend of the era. The head-scratching procedures, the hard work has become boring. Now getting married without having a new child is worrisome, and having a premarital pregnancy is a happy thing. The two of them only really put the problem when Van announced that her pregnant husband was 15 years older than her. That is, he is only 5 years younger than Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone. Although the two of them work together, their positions are very different. Van is a worker at a cloud company, and her pregnant husband is the general manager. This is a 4.0 company, must have foreign investment capital or belong to the country. 2 years ago, when I finished high school, due to lack of passion for reading, I said goodbye to my family. I wanted to help my parents raise my younger sister, so I started to go to Saigon. At first, I applied for a job in a noodle shop. However, the shop was large and crowded, and the employees were few, so there was a lot of work. After 2 months, I applied for another job and happened to meet a guy named Kang, who was going to pick her up for a wedding. Their meeting was also long. It was a weekend evening. Kang was walking alone in the park to relax after a long week of work. When he was standing on the grass, looking towards the lake, suddenly a girl shouted, "But there was a ghost." "Brother, no, uncle, help me, there is a ghost over there." Seeing the girl in front of him panicking, Kang did not pay attention to how she shouted, but he immediately asked where she was. The girl pointed her hand towards the dark spot, the corner of the park. The light there was quite dim. She shook her hand tightly to the shoulder of Kang as if she was not conditioned. Kang calmed down and said, "It's okay, let me see how it is," he said, and walked over there. The girl also gently followed like a chicken hiding under the shade of a tree. When he got there, Kang felt that the girl behind him was shivering. She shook her hand again. "That's it, brother." Now Kang laughed out loud, "Ha ha." It turned out that this stupid girl was possessed by a ghost. There was no ghost, it was just the light of a banana leaf that was lit up and shone down at night. After this scary and funny thing, Kang and Van started dating. Van complained that she was looking for a job. Kang saw that her private company was hiring workers. This girl met him in a very strange situation, also seen as a fate that God had arranged right after that. Kang gave an opinion about inviting Van to work as a worker in his company. This suggestion was exactly to solve Van's problem and she was very happy. Since then, she officially became a lucky worker in the company that her boss met by chance in a very sad situation at the park. That day, at the age of 35, Kang was still single. He had a couple of friends and a close friend introduced him to a car. There were beautiful girls, there were young people or people of the same age as him. However, perhaps fate had not come yet, so after many times, Kang still could not find a suitable one. Impressed from the first meeting with Van, with two factors, distance and strength, there were enough conditions for Kang to think about marriage. Therefore, today, at the family of Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone, the love has not been 2 months, everything has changed dramatically. Previously, Van called Kang uncle, but when Kang said love, she immediately changed to call him brother. This proves that this 20-year-old girl has noticed her boss for a long time. Love looks like ice, the outside is still soft. Due to work conditions, so yesterday afternoon, Van just got on the plane home. Everything at home was prepared by my parents. This morning, Van's family has invited neighbors. This afternoon, they will organize a music show and tomorrow morning, a boy's house, that is, Kang's family will come to pick Van up for a wedding. Van's sister is so. She finished her high school in June. Van asked Kang's company to work. Currently, she is not at home because tomorrow she will return by bus with the boys' delegation. Kang's family has only one son, Kang. The economic conditions are quite poor. Therefore, when Van took to Kang's company to work, he met luck. Once by chance, Kang took Van home to visit his parents. That day, the also went with him. And right when he met Kang's parents had borne the intention of accepting as a foster son. Because his grandparents loved children very much, however, God only gave one child. Now there is another foster son who is a girl and more special. She is my daughter-in-law's sister. What could be more wonderful than that? That intention was quickly approved by his grandparents to Kang. Kang also agreed with that opinion of his parents. So the very next day, he mentioned it to and of course, he received the approval. There is no reason not to agree. After all, my sister-in-law is also their daughter-in-law, but when it comes to their family, they have to be poor. On the contrary, they are rich. If I adopt that family, I will only benefit a little bit, though was also very happy to know this. She thought that from now on, her parents in the country would no longer have to suffer. They would not have to face their father-in-law anymore. They would have 2 daughters. One was the wife of a director. Her family was poor, she needed a son-in-law in that rich family. The story of poverty was over. Because of this, Mr. Ben and Mrs. Lone were also surprised when they found out that their son-in-law was only 5 years old. There was nothing to believe. His strength could make a huge gap in age. Mr. Ben thought that even if this marriage did not go well, His marriage to that family was already a change of life, and the wedding organization did not miss the opportunity to go to a new one. When the neighbors heard that the eldest daughter of Mr. Ben's family got married at the same age as her parents-in-law, there were also some negative comments. Some people said that this girl was really stupid. In this age, the daughter is as expensive as a shrimp. What age does she have to have an old husband? But there are also people who think more deeply and say that the elders are so perverted. What's wrong with being older than your husband? In this age, the bottom line is money. Young people are beautiful, but their skin is not good enough. 26 years old, but you still marry a 62-year-old woman. In the past, there was a saying that a young wife is a fairy, and a young husband and wife are the destiny of life. Those nonsensical words are like hot water that has been left for a long time to cool down. Now, a wedding is about to take place. It's 8 a.m. The table has been prepared, the guests have also started to arrive. Today, Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone are in the most formal costumes since the girl fell in love with Kang. The child was adopted by the Kang family. Both of them have given a lot of money to Mr. and Mrs. in addition to repairing Kang's house. They don't even let Mr. and Mrs. touch their jobs anymore. Now, every month, the money is as even as a picture, only 40 years old, but the villagers have to admit that so far, no woman has been raised so early. Weddings are very boring and always hide two sides. Usually, if we don't spend our money, we don't know, it's like the money has to sweat. The case of Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone is a typical example. They have money in their hands, then they start boiling 180 degrees. In addition to the clothes, fashion, which the villagers have never seen, they also have funny things. They have never known what the black and red ball is. But since they have money, the black and red ball will come to them every day after breakfast. They will find the places to run around in this way. In addition, they often go to the town to find young girls. And of course, those girls are only men's age. As for Mrs. Lone, every week she is not allowed to go to the beauty spots once, she feels very uncomfortable. At the age of 40, she is still attached to the farm. She is in her prime and in her old age, she only needs a little intervention from advanced technology. The countryside of that season has suddenly disappeared in a strange way. Which is to raise the nose, shave the eyebrows, cut the eyebrows, etc. The nails, toenails are colorful like a rainbow after the rain. Recently, she has been very close to her husband. Mr. Bin doesn't care about that because next to him there are always young boys living in the streets. Not being disturbed by his wife at home is his wish. It can be said that now two people live together in the same house, but in the countryside. Who does it? In the past, every month, two children gave birth to a father and a mother in turn. Among the guests at the wedding today, there is a person sitting in the fourth table that Mrs. Lone has been paying attention to. Since then, that guest is a 25-year-old man named Bao. Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone live in the fourth table. Why does Mrs. Lone pay attention to this special guest? Only Mrs. Lone and the guest named Bao know each other. Bao is famous in the neighborhood for hanging around. When the friends with the fire have a stable job, Bao still hangs around. Bin and Bao are having fun on the same boat. On that day, Bin was too black. He played for a while and ran out of money. He was going to go home to get more money, but he remembered that in this black-red job, there was a way to make money. Bao was so unlucky that he should not use his money when he was black. At that time, Mr. Lean called Bao and asked him if it was difficult to go to Mr. Bao's house with Mrs. Lone to lend him 2 million. Later, he went back to open the closet and told her to give him 2 million. He gave him 500,000 with a wanderer like Bao. 500,000 is the most effective amount of medicine. He went right away. Every time he remembered that night, he kept smiling. Dare not have that night, his life must still be not as happy as it is now. It was a fateful night, a big step when Bao returned to Mr. Bin's house. Mrs. Lone sat on the small table in the middle of the house with a pile of cosmetics and nail polishes. Her nails were fluttering like a sailor. When Bao appeared, Mrs. Lone asked, "What's the matter, Bao?" Bao said a few words and expressed Mr. Bin's request. He told Mrs. Lone that if it had been before, Mrs. Lone would have been surprised about her husband's miscarriage. Bao said that for him to eat and her to eat. She laughed and said, "I can't stand it. Let him get some air and come here." Bao was very hot about the amount of medicine that Mr. Bin promised was 500,000. "So you just said a few words and asked Mrs. Lone to go get the money to bring it right away." They chatted for 5 minutes. I don't know what the story was, but after bringing the money to Mr. Bin, Bao did not continue to play and immediately returned to Mrs. Lone's house. To a wanderer like Bao, surely the conversation between you and Mrs. Lone was beneficial to you, so Bao rushed back one more time. When Bao came back, everything on the table was tidied up by Mrs. Lone. Looking around the house, he did not see Mrs. Lone anywhere. Bao was about to make a call when he received a signal that was a sigh coming from the bedroom about 5 steps away. Bao nodded, taking small steps towards the door. He put his hand on the key and pushed it in. In front of Bao's eyes was a scene that even though he had read thousands of books, he had never seen such an excellent painter. The picture of Mr. Bin in front of him, although he was 40 years old, but the color and details were still vivid. Attracting the gaze of the visitor in a strange way, Bao took off his shirt to wear a piece of water running down his neck. His breath was out of control, his heart beating like he wanted to break his chest. Flying out, seeing that scene, Mrs. Lone was very happy because she knew that her strength was still enough to make a younger man ready to fall. She took a few steps towards the door, pulled Bao in and closed the door. At this time, in another place, Mr. Bin was still immersed in the fun of the year 2007. He did not know that in his bedroom, Bao had replaced him with a high-ranking role, which was Mrs. Lone to give advice and accept passionately. It had been a long time since Mrs. Lone did not get close to her husband, so today the young man was strong. Therefore, she felt this was the happiest moment of her 45 years. For Bao, a little while ago, when he came back to get money for Mr. Bin, when he heard Mrs. Lone's suggestion about this, Bao was very nervous at first. At that time, he only thought he was making money, but he did not expect that his neighbor was so wonderful. Now, although he does not need money or has to spend money, on the contrary, Bao still tries his best to achieve what he wants. That night, a red lipstick was officially marked on Mrs. Lone's and this 25-year-old boy. Today, when he appeared at the wedding as a guest, Bao felt very satisfied. The child had been married and Bao was immediately rewarded. The money that Mrs. Lone gave him this month was mainly from the money her daughter sent home. It's been a long time. Today, Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone have a chance to go together like when they were young. Or Mrs. Lone holds a bottle of wine and a glass, goes to each table to thank the presence of the audience. When it comes to Bao's table, Mr. Bin, after a glass of wine, pours a glass for him. He always sees Bao like a child in the house. But maybe he doesn't know that it's like that outside. But inside Bao and he's parallel to each other because they share the same blood, share the same garden that smells so good. The party is coming to an end. Everyone is going home. The waiters also asked to take a break so that they can get back to work this afternoon. There are only a few guests and the main guests. This afternoon, it's going to be music. At 8 a.m. tomorrow, Mr. Bin will be at Bukui to pick Van up for the wedding. From morning to now, while the guests are busy, Van is still in the room. It's not that she's sad because she's going to follow her husband to get married, but because of the phone in her hand. She can't take a break. Every 5 minutes, Van calls Kang once, so she's afraid that someone will steal him if she's careless. Maybe Van didn't expect that right now at Kang's house a miracle was happening. Why didn't Van ask herself why her sister didn't come to the wedding with her sister at home but with the boy band? At that time, Van just thought that now she's the daughter-in-law of that family, so she considered herself a member of Kang's family. Few people should let her stay with her parents-in-law so that her parents-in-law don't feel guilty. Van never dared to believe that she had a dream that her sister and her husband were going to get married and that they had done something wrong to her for a long time. Van asked for a job at Kang's company. At that time, she was still young and had just left the school to go to the city. After a while, she became beautiful. The scale of her family was getting smaller and smaller. Her parents were happy because from now on, Kang's relationship with his sister-in-law would grow a lot. It started when Van was pregnant with Kang. People often say that everything changes almost instantaneously when a woman gives birth. Everything is changed from personality to beauty. Normally, when they first fell in love, both of them got married at the age of 25. Now, that number has decreased a lot. It's hard to say, but Kang was very shy. In the confusion, Kang immediately thought of a temporary replacement for his sister-in-law. In the beginning, Kang and his sister-in-law both wished that this would end when the two families officially became a family. A few days ago, Kang and his sister-in-law went back to their hometown to prepare for the wedding. Van was very sad because the day had finally come. They promised to get married the day after their wedding. That's why she wanted to make the most of her time to be with Kang. This morning, when Van called Kang and turned on the camera to film Kang and his sister-in-law, Kang and his brother-in-law were also waiting for the guests. Van asked, but Kang said that because he was tired he had to lie down a bit so that he could have the energy to welcome the bride tomorrow. All the work outside was done by Kang. If there was a camera on Kang's side, he just had to turn his hand a little bit. At the end of the forest, Van saw his sister as a pretty girl lying next to her husband who was about to get married. She was very happy. From the day she got on the plane to her hometown, which was yesterday afternoon, because the company also gave the workers a few days off so that they could take care of their family. So this break was the best time of Kang's life when he and his sister-in-law got married on the third night until I don't know how many times King thought in his head why God gave birth to Van and a pretty girl who was so kind and gentle that she died. Now that she was chosen, the name in the marriage registration would definitely be that, not Van. That afternoon, the guests promised to come to Mr. Bin's family with a smile as if to share the joy. By 3 p.m., they began to chat until 11 p.m. They took the opportunity to meet at the chicken coop to share a little bit of joy because they hadn't seen each other for a few days because of work. Mr. Bin was no different. After finishing a glass of wine with the guests, he also took some time to go to the street to find a beautiful girl to help him run away. Early the next morning, at 7 a.m., in the kitchen, Van was as beautiful as a flower. The highlight of the wedding dress was the big belly of Mr. Bin. Mr. Bin was now pregnant in his 6th month. At 8 a.m., when the MC's voice was heard, the boys' delegation arrived. Everyone looked to the flower gate to welcome. This was the first time Kang had come to his wife's family. Therefore, through the introduction of the representatives, Kang knew where his parents and his mother-in-law were. Since the two families sat at the table, although they were different in age, they had the same thought. They were none other than Mrs. Lone and her son-in-law, that is, Kang. Oh my God! At the age of 35, Kang was still so handsome. Tan Bao was 10 years younger than Kang, but if you look at the appearance, he was just a student of Kang. As for Kang, he greeted his parents at the age of 40. He looked more handsome and younger than Van. His wife, only that thought was enough to know Kang was a person who had a stubborn personality. When he first met Van, he thought he would be the one who would always be the most beautiful in his eyes. Then when Van's sister appeared, he was immediately moved. Now, once again, when he met his mother-in-law, he was overwhelmed by the image of both his mother-in-law and his sister-in-law. He returned immediately and ran into the room of his older sister. His younger sister was staring at him. He pretended to hug his sister and cried, "My sister, we are all hardworking people. When we grow up, we have to fly." At this moment, I suddenly remember my sister's childhood. Let me hug you for a while. Van was overwhelmed by his sister's touching words, but because the makeup on her face was about to fade, she tried to hide it and didn't dare to cry. At first, he knew those words were just to cover up the sin that was burning in her heart. My sister, if you really love her, you didn't do anything wrong behind her back, but you were the one who gave her a scarf and put it on her head. He hugged his sister for a while and then ran out. When he came out, he accidentally bumped into someone and fell a little bit. Fortunately, the other person was quick, so he was in time. He adjusted his shirt for a short time. When he turned his hair to one side and looked up, he realized that the person he bumped into was Bao, who he still called the neighbor's brother, but she didn't recognize him. Looking at him, her eyes were red. Bao smiled. "Why are you crying on my happy day? Cheer up, I'm already married today. So when are you going to give us the scarf? She stood up for a long time because she hadn't seen this neighbor's brother for months. Maybe he was too far away and didn't pay attention to himself, so he was always a shadow to the villagers in the village. Today is strange, his shirt is neat, his hair is neat, his face is a mess. He looks at himself like a strange creature. Bao asked a question to break the silence between the two. Hey, why do you look at me like an extrovert? He shook his shoes and then came back to reality and smiled. No, I just see you two different, she said, a sentence that seemed a bit insolent. You look so handsome. Bao laughed before the compliment that you said it was only social. What handsome? Where is the handsome man who has not been single until now? There is still no friend who will fall in love with you. Just speaking that sentence, Bao also felt a little angry because whatever person he is choosing to have an affair with is also the birth of a beautiful young girl like the bookmang standing in front of him. Both of them look at each other like that. At this time, the slogan of the MC outside has urged the groom to step in to pick up the bride in front of the ceremony. Now Bao and the are almost awake. Standing side by side and then coming together in the crowd to continue the 100th anniversary of his sister. According to the clock that the boys' side has seen, it is exactly 9 a.m. The groom will leave the girl's house and now it is 9 a.m. Therefore, the wedding is held very briefly. Everyone who has a mission to hold the wedding at the boys' side is ready, just waiting for the car to start and then set off together. Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone were born and grew up in the central region, while Kang's family is in Saigon. Therefore, the train to bring happiness will have to run to the new afternoon when Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone have just arrived at the boys' side to hold the wedding. Today, apart from Mr. Bin and Mrs. Lone, there is also the presence of the aunts, uncles, and a special person. Although not directly related to the family, but as a neighbor, that person is Bao. Bao did not know who to go with because there were two invitations at the same time. One was from Mrs. Tui and the second invitation surprised Bao a bit. Because it was an invitation from a beautiful mouth like the S. The met Bao only once, but the S heart was suddenly confused. The image of Kang, a strong, powerful man with a huge wealth, was a bit distorted in the S mind. It was Bao's handsome face. They kept thinking that he didn't know what was special. Oh my God. I just want to explore it. I hope this trip will help me conquer him. I don't know how to forget him. Kang, when he and his sister officially moved to a house, the time has reduced by more than half. If I can conquer Bao, everything will be peaceful. I don't have to worry about personal affairs and miss my brother-in-law anymore. If I can drive for more than 4 hours, everyone stops to eat something, or if anyone needs to go to the bathroom, I can solve my personal problems and then continue. They really didn't get the wrong car. But when the car stopped, she tried to pretend to be tired to attract attention and attract Bao's attention. Unexpectedly, that trick was really effective. When they was about to get off, Bao asked right away, "Are you driving that car? Why are you so confused? Are you tired? Do you need my help?" They hesitated. "Yes, did I bother you too much?" "It's nothing to bother, let me help you down," Bao said. Then Bao went back to a tree far away for her convenience. Of course, They was very happy. She just deliberately created unworthy clashes with Bao. Bao still didn't know that girl was cheating on him. Bao still used every bit to satisfy her own passion. Out of jealousy, Bao stood still for a long time for the to be free from work. When she was done, they pretended to be tired and called Bao with a weak voice. "Brother, brother, help me run, my eyes are so blurry." Bao rushed back as if she had received a lottery ticket. Everything was still in a mess. Bao was surprised. "Oh my God, you're too hasty, I'm sorry." They straightened up. "It's okay, I'll help you, now I can't see anything." "Who's here?" they said. Bao climbed back up. Although it was just an eye test, Bao also felt like she was falling into a trap that had never been set in this life. Bao smiled in her head. If this were to go one step further, a few more steps, we wouldn't have been able to pick the flowers together. That's good, but it's just the first step. We have to be more determined to get good results. The bus continued its journey until 4 p.m. on the same day it arrived in Narrated. It seemed like everyone was tired and the wedding program organizers knew they should only make a little mistake and then everyone would join the party. It was afternoon. The tables were lined up. The dishes were colorful, such as forest food, sea food, and river food. Everything was put together on a table surrounded by 10 spectators. It was another happy day, everyone was excited to be invited. The happiest day was probably for Bao and the. They went to invite everyone to the party. Mr. Ben was still normal. He sat at the same table as Mrs. Thong Jia and the two main characters today, Kang and his daughter. This table was the honor table and the table was empty. Mrs. Lone kept looking at the handsome son-in-law sitting across from her. Sometimes when she looked up, she saw Kang looking back at her. They seemed to understand each other. Now, if everyone here is suddenly gone, only the mother, wife, and son-in-law are left, then definitely whatever will come will come. A fragile fence is nothing. It's just a waste of time for them, because the happiest thing is still to satisfy yourself. I saw my second daughter walking by Bao's side, but Mrs. Lone was not jealous at all. Even now, she still wants the two of them to get together as soon as possible, then she will be the happiest. She knows that a negative relationship between herself and Bao will not bring any definite results. It's just a waste of time. When it's all over, who will come back to her? Bao is still Bao, a neighbor's granddaughter that she still forgets every day. The cans of beer and bottles of wine are constantly thrown down by the guests. That also proves that the guests and everyone here today had a very enthusiastic drink. Some people got drunk and slept right on the table. There were also people standing around with their feet on the stone. It looked like they were performing magic on a rope. This is the most anticipated moment, but Tai Bao was drunk, sitting in one place, with a frown on her face. This opportunity has come. Today, right here, she will definitely have to save Bao for herself. If the situation is good, nothing will change, the wedding will take place in the family. The Vietnamese still has a tradition that in 1 year, 2 daughters are not allowed to marry. That was explained by the ancients that if you go one by one, it is a balance, and if you go both, it will bring back the blackness. Going one by one means that a girl goes to get a husband and a boy goes to get a wife, then that's good. So, pretending to take care of Bao, she continuously put her hand on Bao's left hand. Next, there are questions that are of interest. Are you tired? I'll take you to the forest for a little rest. Bao shook his head. No, let him sit still for a while and he'll be fine. Who goes to sleep at someone's house like this? It's so weird. Looking at the other side, people are still full of warm wine. It's fun today, but it's also strange. Let bygones be bygones. Now I just hope you and your sister have a happy life to welcome a new member. As for you, you will conquer Bao to be with this man forever. Everyone makes mistakes in life. It's important that we don't think too much about that mistake and know how to fix it in time. At the right time, we don't feel stuck. As the saying goes, hit the runner, don't hit the runner, and now you are a typical example. Although you used to have an extramarital relationship with your brother-in-law, now you know to regret and tell yourself that you will never do that again. Because I'm pregnant, my body is tired, may I put my parents in the bedroom so that everyone can have fun? Kang Jiu broke into the room and returned, sitting in the old position to continue chatting with the uncles and parents. It's past 10 o'clock, but the tables are still shaking. Maybe today's fun will last until tomorrow morning, the father of Kang spoke up. We men have only had a day of fun for 100 years so that we can have fun. If you two are tired, just go to bed first. If you wake up like us, can you stand it? Mr. Binson replied. Yes, you are right. Today, you and I just hang out, you two just rest first and then tell Kang that I can't stand standing up. Arrange a room for my mother to rest. My mother rarely wakes up late, it's about time for her to go to bed. It's a little difficult. Then my father continued chatting. Hearing Mr. Bin's suggestion, Mrs. Lone and Kang both had a little hiccup. However, both quickly calmed down. Kang nodded to his father and wife and turned to look at Mrs. Lone. Go, my mother, clean up the room for my mother to rest. Kang nodded. Mrs. Lone hesitated, or let me clean it up myself. I'll stay here with my uncles and father. Kang nodded, no, I can't. Who is going to let me clean up now? The old room is clean. I just have to clean up one thing. Go, mother. Kang took my mother's hand and then both walked away. The warmth from my hands made Mrs. Lone feel like being electrocuted. How could this warmth have the power to seduce strangers? She just wanted the bedroom to be hundreds of kilometers away so that she and her son-in-law could hold hands longer. Now the skin may be swollen to the point of death. Her hands at that time were still on her forehead and then ran down the stiff shoulder of the storm. The warmth of the air and the smell of alcohol would fly in the air and then reach her nose, making her feel as if she had just been shot by an extremely powerful arrow. Suddenly, he said, suddenly, I'm so sad. Maybe I have to go to Nankeda. Today is the first time I drink so much like this. Now maybe my mouth can also see the wine right there. Bao stood up and asked with all his heart, let me take you, I'm drunk like this. I met the wind outside. I told you earlier if you can't drink, you can't drink. Why do you keep trying to drink so hard? Are you tired now? Bao kept saying. I'm not very tired. I just need a drink. I'm fine. I don't need a drink. I can go. His mouth said so, but in his heart he was thinking the opposite. The offer to take him away was right in his heart, but he just seemed to be a little bit to keep his status. So naturally, he put his hands on Bao's shoulder and slowly walked like a couple of lovers, leaning into a 5-star hotel. The bathroom of this house only has one, and when two people step in, they see that there is a person inside. The door is still closed. Bao almost couldn't stand it anymore. Now all you need to do is open your mouth and everything will come out like a waterfall, waiting for people in the bathroom to go out. You never know. Maybe they're too drunk in there and have a really long sleep, and then they should go out. Bao turned around and ran out to the garden. After a while, Bao began to brush the uncomfortable things that were all over the place. Following the brush step, she kept brushing Bao's back without stopping, asking, are you okay, brother? I told you to drink a little, but you didn't listen. Poor thing, I'll go home and make some sugar water for you. Bao wrapped her arms around her back, holding tight to save her. After a little bit of water in her mouth, Bao turned around, clenching her teeth, holding tightly to her heart. She didn't hesitate about it and immediately cooperated with the person in her dream to make the hug last longer. Bao's hands were shaking like a hungry person with a strange feeling all over her body. But if you're hungry like this, who doesn't want to be hungry? If you're hungry and you know where to find good food, the truth is still there, but it's not up to the mind. Each close move of hers was like a warning message to Bao, saying, take your time to enjoy what you're having. The dark ball and the rustling trees were a sign of their intimacy. According to the schedule, the day after the wedding, everyone will arrive, and when they're off, they'll rent a place to sleep and then go back to their hometown. But maybe renting a place is only for other guests now, and with that, Bao has her own place to rest. There are not only 4 or 5 stars in the sky, but there are also thousands of stars under the ground, with a green grassy shade. So tonight, for Bao and it's no different than a honeymoon for a couple. The whispers, the screams, Kang said, let me give you a shoulder to lean on. To be honest, I'm tired too. If I go out and drink a few more glasses, I'll collapse. You can stay for a while. Kang quickly got down to work. She breathed in lightly because the plan had been half completed. Now there was only the last part of the success. She was sure that her 35-year-old son-in-law would be overjoyed when her last moment was about to come. Later, she guessed she was right, when her beloved shoulder appeared in front of Kang's face. Kang no longer remembered his shoulder-pulling mission. The momentum had made the agencies rise quickly to the point that Kang could not explain it. After a while of silence, Kang slowly said to his mother-in-law, Mom is so beautiful, father and daughter-in-law are really blessed. I know the fish have bitten. Kang said to his mother-in-law, you should resign, your father-in-law has abandoned you for a long time. He doesn't care about you anymore. He is happy with you. Your father-in-law must have criticized your mother-in-law for trying to find someone else who is more beautiful than you. Kang said to his mother-in-law, your mother-in-law is even cheaper than many 18-year-old ladies. The story didn't end for about half an hour. At that moment, their hearts were in harmony. After a long time of silence, the door was closed again. Everything happened as usual. The boy and the girl were in love. Outside, they were still drinking beer together. The stories were warm and romantic. They didn't know that in the other room and in a corner of the room, there were fascinating and special scenes. It was even more special and attractive than the wedding that was held this afternoon. So after a long time of silence, everything was back to normal. It was too late. Bao Tu, a young lover of his father-in-law, would become his lover in a short time. As for Kang, he has come home with his 3 daughters. She is Van's sister, and the mother who gave birth to those 2 daughters is also his beloved mother. The story ends with dramatic situations and complicated relationships that leave us with deep thoughts about love, loyalty and moral values. The characters have experienced intense emotions but also had to face the consequences of thoughtless actions. The lesson is that in love and life, sincerity and loyalty are always factors that determine happiness for a long time. Confused attitudes only bring temporary joy but leave a long-term pain and hurt for yourself and those around you. Therefore, we need to know how to respect moral values, keep a loyal heart and behave responsibly to avoid unforeseeable consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our story. Don't forget to leave a comment to let us know. And now, goodbye and see you again in the next episode.